Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you are watching us, and welcome to Debate Night. I'm your host, Okoth Pondo. And of course, this is a very special edition of Debate Night, as it has never happened before on a Wednesday. But we are celebrating, we are doing this today to mark the International Youth Day that is coming tomorrow, the 12th day of August 2021. So, of course, I start by wishing every member who is joining us either at home watching from Facebook or YouTube or just also in the Zoom hall here. Happy and a very, 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 very happy International Youth Day in the midst of the crisis that is in the midst of the pandemic, COVID-19. I hope we are still keeping safe. We are still living in the wars. We are told that young people, we must take the lead in this war. But it's also interesting that today we have one motion that is very critical for all of us. The question we're asking ourselves tonight is, are young people ready to take the leadership of this country? That is the country of the Republic of Kenya. Remember, we are talking at a time that it is projected that each and every year for the past 5 years, we are injecting into our population 1 million young people who are crossing the bar of 18-year-old and above. That's now what we are talking about today. Are these young people willing to, are they willing to push themselves to positions of leadership, not just voting? Are they willing to contest to be voted in? Are they willing to take other leadership roles in their communities, whether they are appointed or elected? That is the question that we are asking tonight. And to help us on the discussion of this great topic tonight, we have a team, two gentlemen on the proposing side and two ladies on the opposing side. On the proposing side, we have Professor Wishuli. The gentleman has been here before as a student based in Eldoret in Kenya. Also on the proposing side, we have Kelvin Kamau, who is a student based here in Kenya, a student studying law. On the opposing side, we have Rosalind Sabion Omondi, that's also a law student based in Nairobi. And also we have Josephine Flora, a student based in Kikuyu, that is in Kiambu County. Karibuni sana. Josephine Flora, how are you? Let me just maybe use a minute for each of us, maybe just to wish us a happy International Youth Day before the timekeeper starts being hard on us. Josephine, how are you?
I'm fine. I am happy to be here.
International Youth Day.
Happy International Youth Day to every young person out there.
Are you ready for this debate, Josephine?
Yeah, I'm more than ready.
You are more than ready to tell us why young people are not ready to lead the country. Wonderful. Professor Weshuli? Karibu sana, brother. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Happy International Youth Day.
Happy International Youth Day to you too.
Where are you joining us from tonight?
Tonight I'm joining you from Nairobi County.
Nairobi County. Finally, you got okay. Hey, umeomoka. Kelvin Kamau, happy International Youth Day, brother. Kelvin Kamau? Seems he's not happy on this International Youth Day. Rosalind Omondi?
Happy International Youth Day.
Yes, Omondi, Rosalind, how are you doing? Are you looking forward to this great debate tonight?
I'm very, 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 very psyched up for the debate today. Tonight, I'm joining you from Kisumu, from the lakeside. So yeah, we got this.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful. So tonight you're joining us from Kisumu, that is from Kisumu County, a city, yes, one of the city with one of the oldest international airports, not just in Kenya, but in Africa. Kelvin Kamau, happy International Youth Day, brother. Kelvin Kamau?
Yes.
Happy International Youth Day. Are you struggling with your network? Okay, great.
Oh, might be because I'm in Nyandarua.
Oh, okay. You're joining us from
International Youth Day. Yes.
Okay, say hello to people.
Hello everybody, happy International Youth Day. Make sure you meditate on the day tomorrow and let's find a way to make that the youth be the change makers that we want.
Wonderful. So before we get into this debate, because I want us first of all to relax, to cool the tension, anyone here in the virtual hall can just turn on their microphone and turn on their video, also just to wish us a happy International Youth Day. Omukoko, wherever you are, Simon, Wilda Nyagoha yourself, Midi Bear. Who else do we have here? Derek Were, just put on your video and turn on your mic, say hello to people, and also wishing them a happy International Youth Day. Christina Gola Musandu, you're also here. Wilda, you can go first.
Hello guys, happy International Youth Day. I'm really excited about tomorrow. And what I can say, let us spread positivity among youth.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful. Midi Bear, happy International Youth Day, brother. Unmute and say hello to us.
Oh, happy International Day, sorry.
Happy International Youth Day. Where are you joining us from, brother?
I'm joining you from Nairobi.
From Nairobi. Simon Kamau, where are you joining us from? Happy International Youth Day. Okay, your gauge is muted. So Omukoko Okoth, happy International Youth Day.
Happy International Youth Day.
Where are you joining us from tonight?
From Dubai. I'm in Mumias.
You're joining us from Mumias. Wonderful, wonderful. And by then, now
yes,
just mentioned Dubai. There's this famous African blogger called Wodemaya that I really like following his videos. And he's just been wondering why people choose to go to Dubai instead of going to Namibia. My friend, Namibia is such a beautiful place to be. I mean, everything that you look for in Dubai is in Namibia. But there's a story for another day. Wilda, you are here. Oh, Wilda, you already said hello to us. Who else is here before we get straight into the debate? Derek, where are you able to unmute? Christine Musando, are you able to unmute and wish people happy International Youth Day?
Yes, happy International Youth Day. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, we are happy and we recognize the youth.
Thank you so much for recognizing the youth and the future and the present. Wonderful. Now to everyone watching us from home and everyone watching us from the different places where you are, Karibuni Sana. That means welcome to our great debate tonight. That is a debate night with your host, Okoth Opundo from the Camp E-Voices. On the panel tonight, we are discussing, are young people ready to take the leadership of this country, the country called Kenya? On the proposing side, we have Professor Weshuli and Kelvin Kamau joining us from Nyandarua and Nairobi, respectively. On the opposing side, we have Rosalind Omondi joining us from Kisumu and Josephine Flora joining us from Kiambu County. And now straight into the discussion. Just to remind you, each speaker has been allocated a certain amount of time. So for the first round, each speaker 1 minute. Second round, each speaker 5 minutes. Then we take a break as we get into the question segment from members of the audience and those following us from YouTube. And we'll come back to you again for that round. Each speaker another 3 minutes. Then we come to the end. The last round where each speaker is allocated a minute to give the closing remarks. Timekeeper, I am ready when you are ready, and now we go straight away to the first speaker, the proposing side. Is it Professor Weshuli or Kelvin Kamau? Kelvin Kamau or Professor Weshuli? Who is going first? The first speaker proposing side?
Oh, it's Kelvin.
Kelvin Kamau, take it.
It's me.
Yes, go on. You have a minute.
So hello all, my name is Kelvin Kamau, and I'm here to strongly put across the point that indeed the time of the youth has come. I am a student and an avid Pan-Africanist who believes in the power of the youth to create change.
Okay. Oh, your introduction is done.
Yes.
Okay, great. We have the first speaker, the opposing side. Kindly just make good use of your time. The 60 seconds are all yours. Don't fear. First speaker, the proposing side. Is it Flora or Omondi, Rosalind?
It's me.
Okay, go first. Kindly turn on your video.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Rosalind Omondi here, and I'm here to inform us that as youths, we are not ready to take leadership as it is, as There's a quote that says that innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. And as it is right now, we are just followers. If we were not followers, we wouldn't be having this discussion today. That's it. Thank you.
Great, great. From Omondi, now we head straight to Professor Weshuli, joining us from Nairobi County.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Weshuli Joshua. Some say self-proclaimed, but it's not actually that way. I'm a professor. I'm a student at Kenyatta University, and I'm joining you live from Nairobi. I'm here just to give an answer to the question that asks, are young people ready to take the leadership of this country? And the other is yes, but the question is how or what shows. So just join in, be online until the end, keep in touch, and we shall get to give you the answer. Thank you.
Wonderful. We head to the second speaker, the opposing side, Josephine Flora, joining us from Kiambu County.
Okay. It is said, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, then change your attitude. So I don't like how young people are not ready to take up the leadership of this country. And I'm here to tell you why young people are not ready to take up the leadership of this country and in fact, give you the solutions to it. My name is Josephine Flora. As you've heard, I am from Kiambu County. Thank you.
Wonderful, Josephine Flora. I like actually the volume. I like the level of the audio. I mean, you're very audible. I wish Kelvin could do the same now that we can't see his video. Kelvin will try as much as possible to raise your voice so that you prove to us that young people are ready to take the leadership of this country. Now, to those joining us once more from home, remember the debate we're tackling tonight is in commemoration of the International Youth Day. The question we're asking ourselves tonight is, are we ready as young people to take over the leadership of this country? On the proposing side, we have Professor Weshuli and Kelvin Kamau. On the opposing side is Josephine Flora and Rosalind Omondi. And also just remind you, keep subscribing to our YouTube channel because this is where we bring some of the best conversations and the best debates across all topics that we bring to this platform. Now to my timekeeper. We are now beginning the second round, and I'll allow the first speaker of the proposing side the 5 minutes. That is Kelvin Kamau. Your 5 minutes begin right now, sir.
Can you hear me?
Very well.
Thank you. Now, the question today is, can the youth, or are the youth ready, or do they have the capacity to actually take up the leadership challenge? The truth of the matter is that I answer in the affirmative. Yes, the youth are ready, they are capable, and they should, as a matter of immediate effect, take action and come up and take the reins of leadership. Now, having said this, I'd like to start and say that at independence, our independence cabinet was majorly made up of young people, the likes of Mwai Kibaki, the likes of Jomo Kenyatta, the likes of Tom Mboya, the likes of, John Mishuki, and the rest. But somewhere along the way, we got stuck. If we look at the breed of African revolutionaries that we have, they are all young people. Having said this, I'm going to hinge my argument on one fundamental factor, that the youth are the ones who are going to live tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. So if they're the ones who are going to live tomorrow, let them experience the burden of choice, or rather what we say, choices have consequences. Let them experience their consequences. Now, the first reason why I do believe that the youth are capable and ready to take the reins of leadership is because of one thing. The youth are the only people capable of coming up with revolutionary ideas that are so needed at such a critical time as this to actually change the way we work as a nation. Now, the truth of the matter is that as you advance in age, what happens is that you become more and more conservative. That is why Winston Churchill, in one of his many moments of elucidation and wisdom, clearly taught us that if you are a youth and not a revolutionary, then you are not a youth at all. My point, that at these times of crisis, it requires fresh, innovative thinking. This fresh, innovative thinking can only be effectively provided for by the youth. You want to doubt me? Let's look at all the major revolutions that we claim in this world. Let's start with the revolution in Burkina Faso, led by a 33-year-old general, Thomas Sankara. Let's look at the leaders of African countries at independence, the ones who brought us independence. They were all young people. Majority of them were young people. So what do I mean by this? That the capacity of change solely belongs to the people, and the future of a country can be determined by looking at its youth. If our youth are not in leadership, we do not have a future. Now, having said that, now I take it that the current youth who are there have by and large proved themselves capable. What do I mean by this? One, if you look at the Mzalendo rankings of the best performing legislators from the National Assembly, at top is Mohammed Ali, number 2 is Dindi Nyoro, number 3 is, I can't remember his name, but he is still a young person. Now, this is what I'm talking about. These are people the youth have actually proved that they indeed can create the leadership they want. Now, I do not disagree that there are few blemishes here, but if you're to do a comparative analysis of the impact of the young people in dispatching and discharging their responsibilities, then they rank higher than their seniors. Now, if the same is replicated in the Senate, I remember the best performing senators are the young senators. We have the likes of Butula Kilonzo Jr., we have the likes of Aaron Cheriot, and last time we had the likes of Governor Sang, who's currently the governor of Nandi. This is what I'm talking about, that the youth have consistently over time proven that they are capable. If you want us to go look at the Kenyans who are conquering the world right now, I do not disagree that there is a pedigree of experienced Kenyans who are changing the narrative, experienced Africans who are changing the narrative. But the truth of the matter is that the youth of this country are consistently making us proud day by day. If there is no other reason why, then I have given you the reason why. Now, thirdly, the reason as to why the youth of this country are ready to actually take leadership is because they have agency to change how things work. They have that speed and they have what we call the fire to make things work. If you look at the people who are leading social justice movements in this country, they are the young people, the likes of Boniface Mwangi, the likes of Cyprian Nyakundi. These are the people we are talking about. They have agency, and therefore the youth are capable of taking over the reins of leadership. Now, having said that, I have a minute to go.
Your time is up, sir.
Oh.
Yes,
okay.
Your time is up. My timekeeper, kindly be a bit clear because I had several bells, so I also got confused a bit as a moderator. But I want to believe that now means the 5 minutes are over. Let's head to the first speaker, the opposing side. That is Rosemary Omondi. When you hear just one bell, it means you have a minute to go. Then when you hear the bell ring twice, it means your time is over. So the timekeeper, just try to be a bit clear on that. Let's go, Rosemary Omondi.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me this chance to actually prove to all of us here that we as the youths are not really ready to partake the leadership docket in this country. Let's go back to the recent elections that we had in 2017. We had the youngest MP, who was the Igembe South MP, John Paul Mwirigi. Yeah, John Paul Mwirigi. At 23, he became an MP, and we were very proud. We were very proud as youth. Yeah, finally, someone is in the government, someone is in the system. But one day, the MP is interviewed, and he says that he is not arrogant because he was deemed to be arrogant, and he says he is just impatient. Which brings to my point that the youth currently, we are so impatient. We want things, even from the first proposal, you've listened to the names he's mentioned, the likes of Winston Churchill. Those are people who took their time to mold their leadership skills, who took their time to understand what leadership really was. And if we as the youth just want to wake up tomorrow and we want to change the situation in the country, we're just saying that we want to wake up tomorrow and we want corruption to end, just like that. We want corruption to end. We want everything to be fine. We want everyone to be employed. That will not be possible if we don't have the patience. And that's why I'm saying that on my first point, that we as the youth are not ready because we don't have the patience that is needed to become a leader. Another point is on how we portray leadership as if we always want to have someone who holds our hand. We're saying that we can't voice out our thoughts without being led by someone who has been in the system for long. And as I'd stated earlier when I started my submission, I'd say that innovation differentiates between a leader and a follower. And we as the Kenyan youths, most of us are just followers. We are literally following what our leaders have been doing. And we go to the system with the mindset of changing everything, but immediately we fit in. We will always be listening to what they're saying, what the elder generation are telling us. And we are like, okay, so we shun our thoughts. And because when we go there with very, like, how do we put it? We are so enthusiastic about leadership. But the moment we're given that docket, we don't know what to do, and we start looking up, and we want to be, should I say, given baby steps. We want baby steps in leadership. So we go there with that mentality of we can do it, but when we get there, we feel like it's too heavy for us. That's why we end up having sentiments like, I'm not arrogant, I'm just impatient. So I believe that we as the Kenyan youth, or we as the youth generally, we are not ready for leadership, because as we've portrayed, even during the election period, we want to elect leaders, but we don't want to elect leaders who are within our age brackets, because we know that if they go there, there's nothing that they're really going to do. They'll just be bowing down to the senior leaders. Thank you.
Great. Great submission there by Rosalind Omondi. Now we head to the second speaker, the proposing side, Professor Weshuli.
Okay, thank you. Actually, it has been said very well about John Paul Mwerigi, who became an MP of Igembe South constituency, that is in Meru County, at the age of 23 years. We also see Mercy Cheben, who was nominated as a senator when she was actually 25. And also, we don't forget the senator of this county, which is Nairobi. He became the senator at the age of 32 years. So the problem is not actually that these people are impatient. One thing we need to understand, first we say that experience is the best teacher. So the problem, as you say, that some of us or some of those people who are already in leadership position and they're young people, but what they're doing does not, I think you say that they need somebody else to hold their hands. That is not the truth. The only problem is that the environment they are in, being that they are young people, but we still have those others who are there above them, who tend to dictate what they should do. It is because they lack that freedom. But as for me, I'm here to answer this question, that are the youth or the Kenyan youth ready to take up leadership in this country? And I will say yes. Maybe to educate you on this. And when I refer even to the biblical history, regardless of your religious affiliation, but there is a history that see even the kind of kings that God was choosing for to lead the people during those days, he will not go for an old man. He will not go for an old woman. But all these leaders were young. See King Saul, King Solomon, King David, because he knew there is something very important in the youth leadership that we need to embrace. But nowadays, those people we are seeing in leadership positions, they became leaders while they were youth. Now, it happens that they have now gained experience, that they're in the position. So we continue staying back, looking at them that, oh, you know, those are the people who know, those are the wise, let them continue. No, it is not that they were born with these leadership skills. And it does not mean that you have to sit down, relax, watch what others are doing so that you can also do it. You know, let me tell you, it is a high time that we need a difference. We may have soldiers in the battle fighting the corruption and employment tribalism to be mentally the elders, as you may say. But it's a high time that we just need a David who can come and fight this Goliath once and for all. And that is why youth, we have gone ahead to prepare. And of course, we are ready. And, you know, it happens that I love the Bible so much. That's why I'll remind you that when you read in the book of Joel 2:28, it says that even the old men shall, or the elderly shall see dreams, but for the youth, we shall see visions. So this country, we need people who are visionary to lead us. The youth are ready. And I remember the words of Margaret Thatcher when she once said that, don't follow the crowd, but let the crowd follow you. So we don't need every young person to be ready for this leadership, but a sample who shall represent the rest, like our beloved opposers here who tend not to be ready. And don't worry, I'll represent you. For those who follow the crowd, I've not yet realized that the young people by now, they have the capacity to influence others through inspiration, which is generated by a vision, motivated by a passion, birthed by conviction, and produced by purpose. I like the words of Ralph Weldon when he once said that, do not go where the path may lead, but instead go where there is no path and leave a trail. So we won't keep following the old-fashioned mentalities that the youth are incapable of taking up leadership or they are not ready. We are ready to leave a trail of great lasting solution to the problem of our nation. And we are ready because we understand by now what is best for our nation in this era. We have already observed the things that are going on with the leadership we have. And so we are ready to take position and put things in the right order. Thank you.
Wonderful. That is from a wonderful submission from Professor Weshuli. Josephine Flora, it looks like you are very ready. Very ready. Thank you.
I'm just listening to what Prof is saying, and I'm just like, wow. Anyway, Prof, there's a saying that goes, unity is power. And the Swahili tell us, jifia moja alinjiki chungu. So you cannot come here and start telling us you are ready. If the rest are not ready, you are ready. Ready to go where alone? We need each other to move forward. Anyway, I've heard you people talk about some of the leaders that we have, young leaders that we have in the leadership positions of this country. The question is, do we still have corruption cases in our country? Do we still have nepotism happening amongst us? Is our economy growing or declining? Are things changing around us? The answer is no. Things are slowly declining and becoming worse as days go by. So are they creating the impact that we put them in leadership position to create? No, they are not. Ama, I should leave that to you to answer, Prof, and my other able proposer. It's funny how 75% of our population comprises of young people, yet we cannot come up with a stable leadership system that can bring us the change that we need in this country. I started by saying, if you can't change something, then you have to change your attitude. So there's no change that's happening around us. And then you'll probably tell me that we already have some of these young people that are in leadership position. But then my big question here is, are these people creating the impact we want? How many times have we seen these young people in the limelight? I don't want to mention names, in the limelight doing things that are not in any way helping us develop. Rather, they're just weird things. Or they've insulted each other, they've fought, they've done what. So I'm just here and I'm like, okay, wait, we put you there to create change. We put you there to do something that the older people already in the system can't do. You go there and you do a lot of nonsense. With that, I totally disagree with the notion that says young people are ready. No, they are not. And we really need to work on it. It's not like I don't want things to change. I really do. And I'd really be glad when we are at that point where young people are ready to take up the leadership of this country. Because most of these people, we put them in those leadership positions to break the status quo. They are there to bring up fresh ideas, to bring up a new leadership regime, but they're not doing that. Instead, they go there and do a lot of nonsense. I believe protests by the youth and the young leaders who are already in power can bring out, or rather make the older people step down and pave way for the youth leaders to be part of the decision-making process. If you're in the leadership position and you've been swallowed by the system, it becomes very hard for you to be competent. So why are you there? It simply means you're not ready for that position. You're not competent enough to perform the leadership position, that the leadership duties that you've been put there specifically to perform. Then we go to the employment opportunities and their effect on leadership of this country. So almost 500,000 of youth graduate from our various tertiary institutions ready to enter into the job market every year. So you find out, due to the economic growth of our country, corruption and nepotism, 75% of these youths are unemployed. And then we go back just recently, just the other day, we had the Kazi Mtaani initiative, which was put in place apparently to make the youth get jobs. And I'm just like, wow. So it's supposed to allow these 500,000 youth that are from the various tertiary institutions and others that are not able to join the tertiary institutions to be absorbed, because majority of us, 75%, mark my word, 75% of our youth are unemployed. So Kazi Mtaani was put in place, and very many of our youths were out there clapping, behaving as if Kazi Mtaani was an initiative from heaven. Wow. And I'm just like, okay, so you have skills to do something else, and then you're being told to sweep trenches and do all sorts of cleaning. Is that really what we are worth? Do our youth know their worth? Until we know what our worth is, we are not ready for this leadership position. Until we know what we can give and what we stand out for, we are not ready for leadership position. You cannot tell me you've acquired the skills you have for all of you to go and start sweeping trenches and doing all that and clapping for your government. And I'm just like, if these are the youth that we expect to be the leaders of tomorrow, then we are totally lost. We are not ready. Thank you.
Wonderful. Having heard from the four speakers, the two speakers from the proposing side and the two speakers from the opposing side, now it is time to pick questions. And Flora here, if I quote Flora, she says, until we know what our worth is, that's the time that we'll be ready. There's a question coming to me that someone is struggling really to understand the proposers between the youth should be leading the country and the youth being ready to lead the country. Someone here says that he feels that what you are saying is that youth should lead the country, but the question is, are they ready? That is the question that we're asking tonight. So I hope the proposers will be able to explain that in the next segment that they get an opportunity to speak. Omukoko Okoth, you are on the call, sir. Ask your question to any of the sides of the debate.
Yeah, thank you very much. My question goes to the proposition, which makes the argument, as you've mentioned, that the youth are capable of actually making change. But then my question will go to Prof particularly, and Kelvin as well. Prof, you mentioned youth in the Bible. How is that evidence for the fact that the youth in Kenya today are capable, are ready to take up leadership positions? And Kelvin, you mentioned youth like Thomas Sankara being very instrumental in bringing change, as well as the Cabinet and Independence in Kenya. How is that evidence that the youth of Kenya 2021 are actually ready to take up leadership positions? Thank you.
Just to clarify so that this gets to everyone, Professor Weshuli quoted some biblical verses, and that's now what Omukoko is asking, just to show how that relates to the youth being ready today. Kelvin mentioned the youth at the time of independence, and again, that is also another question, that how then does that relate to the youth being ready today? Wonderful. Any question from the members of the audience? Let me see. If you have a question, let me see your hand. Lord Lushiri, do you have a question? Lord Lushiri, if you have a question, you can unmute and pass your question straight away. Okay, he's saying he's liking the debate. It is hotter than hell. Okay, great. Let's move on to the debate. Any question, maybe? Let me give this opportunity to the proposers. A question to the opposers, then opposers, a question to the proposers. The proposers, question to the opposition? Proposers, I'm giving a minute within these 5 minutes of the question time.
My question is.
Yes.
My question is to the opposers. Can you give us parameters which disqualify the youth from taking leadership at the moment?
Wonderful. That is home. Professor Weshule, any question to the proposers, to the opposers? Sorry, Professor Weshule. Unmute, Prof. Do you have any question to the opposers, Professor Weshule?
No.
Okay, great. To the proposers, do you have any question to the opposers, Jocelyn Flora or Mondi Roslyn? Kindly take this time to pass any question to the opponents. Jocelyn Flora?
My question to the proposers is, can they tell us how the youths are ready to take on the leadership of this country, and stop telling us why?
Okay.
Like they should tell us how.
Okay, great. The question of how versus why, that is passed over to you, the proposers. So in absence of another question, let me see if we're having any conversation on the other side. Bill is here saying, Happy International Youth Day to everyone. It is time for the youth to shine. Alex Oburu say, I totally concur with the professor, that is Professor Weshule. Professor, you have a supporter there, that is Alex Oburu. Professor Lord Lushiri, sorry, I'm now calling everyone a professor here. Well, we know very well that we are likely not even to be having a real professor on this panel. Okay. The proposers should tell us what we should do to make the youth ready. That's now the question to the proposers. Unfortunately, they said we are ready. So I don't know if there may be that now should be a question to the opposers or to the proposers. The question on telling us how the youth should be ready, what the youth should do to be ready. Let's start with the proposing team. Let's start with the proposing team. You have 3 minutes. Begin right now, the first speaker from the proposing team. Kelvin, it is your time.
Yes. Now, straightforward to my questions. The reason why we said, when we started our argument, we started by making the point that to lead, because we felt it important to show that their readiness is out of capability, not because of their age, not because of their height, their color, or anything else, but solely because of their capability. So I hope that answers the question as to whether the question is capability or whether they are ready. So that is our argument, that the youth are capable and so they are ready. Now, secondly, on the question of how, we need to recognize that there's been a failure since independence to cultivate the structures required to enable youth participation. Thanks to Constitution 2010, the structures that the youth have been given a leeway. And we are 75% of the population of this country. And therefore, we need to be at the decision table because the decisions are going to affect us. Now, what we need to do is to simply organize. It's as simple as that. Unless we are organized, we cannot be able to capture leadership and use it for what we want. That is the only way to go about it. And it is important for me to also show that the youth are ready. I'd like to say that the youth are organizing. They are having their own unique conversations, and they are actually putting solutions forward. Some of them not in the government leadership role, but in community leadership roles. So yes, the youth are ready, and they are actually very eager to take on the challenges that are there. Did I hear the bell?
That is just a warning. So go on, you have about 40 seconds.
Oh, thank you. And so basically, the argument that we're bringing to the table is, and there is no pre-qualification to leadership. It's just the willingness to serve. But the conundrum that we have right now is the youth make the majority, and therefore their voice should be heard because they're the ones bearing the brunt of the decision making. Only them can say their problems and articulate the solutions, because there is no way the lion will ever speak and solve the problems of the monkey. The lion cannot address the shortage of bananas and fruits on top of the tree while it is hunting for gazelles. I wish to rest.
Wonderful. We go to the first opposer, and also just to clarify Jowere's question, he says he meant to the opposers. The opposers should tell us what we should do to make the youth ready. First opposer, Rosalyn Omondi.
Okay, firstly, I'll start by telling the first proposer that capability does not show readiness. So the fact that you're saying that the youths are capable of being leaders does not show that they're ready to be leaders. Let me use an example we can all relate. The fact that any woman can bear a child does not show that she is ready to be a mother, and that applies to men too. The fact that you're capable to father or sire a child does not mean that you are ready to raise one or to be a father. And I proceed with the first proposer also quoted the Constitution. Yes, the Constitution has an article, which is Article 55, which talks about the Kenyan youth, and it even gives us, it shows us that the problems that we are having as youths, because it's saying that the youths are disadvantaged, and it also stipulates that a large percentage of the population is comprised of the youth who are unemployed. But again, how are the youth trying to solve their issues, even in the society currently? In most cases, young people have been on the forefront of solving chaos with violence. They will barricade highways, and they will even engage in running battles with police. We've seen this not once, not twice. We've seen this many times. Then they tend to forget that there's always another alternative, and there's always another appropriate way to address these issues. So it's sad to note that as much as the youth are let's say 75% of the population are youths, they've been exploited, and the worst part is that they're even part of their exploiting, because the same youths are being hired to commit crimes. The same youths destroy property that are even supposed to help them. We even saw the situation that was happening in South Africa recently. We saw how the people who were on the forefront even destroying things, mostly they were the youths. You don't expect a 70 year old man to go and start. Okay. They're even destroying. Okay, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, okay, sorry. So I was saying it is worth noting that a noticeable number of youths have also joined the bandwagon, and they hold various political positions in leadership. We even have the student leaders who get to associate with our political leaders who are way ahead of us. But what are they doing there? Okay. For instance, in the National Assembly, the county government, and the Senate. What shows that the youth have really contributed to the leadership of this country? So I still insist that we are not ready. We are only ready for temporary solutions, not permanent solutions. And that's why I still insist that the youth are not ready for leadership. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's go to the second, the proposing side.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I'll start by answering the question asked by Omukoko, how the biblical story that I used, how does it relate to the situation of the Kenyan youth? I actually used it so that to bring out that understanding of the reason as to why we are saying that the youth are ready, because why others are saying the youth are not ready, it is just because of that perception that the youth are they're still premature, or they are not yet mentally mature to stand up for this position. But I'm trying to give you an example so that you may see that when we say that the youth are ready, you don't look at it and be like, no, these guys are just rushing. No, it is evident that there is some also who are there before. And of course, if I'm to tell you, when you look at those who are being chosen in the Bible, even some of them could say, I'm still young, I'm not ready. But they went and did a very good job. So when we say we are ready, don't look at it and say, no, how? And also there was another question, that the corruption and all the vices which are being performed by these who are already there. I like to tell you that actually is a wrong judgment, because you don't have evidence of that. And at least like Josephine mentioning that, you'll have given evidence of that. I would have known if it is true, your statement is true. But how do you expect them to impact in what we are, as you say that, what have they impacted in the nation already, because they are young and already in leadership? How will they do that? Yet the environment they are in, majority of those people surrounding them are still the elderly. That's why we are saying we are ready, and so we have to work out on our way to see on how, as the time goes by, every leadership we shall be held by the youth, for we to be able to reason. Remember, birds of same feathers flock together. So it is different that we are sitting among the elderly. It's different. We are having different opinions, different ideas. That is a problem. So the question, whether the youth are ready, the answer is yes. And the reason why we say yes explains the how. So don't say that, we are just giving the why and not the how. I think I'd like to raise at that point.
Wonderful. Second speaker, the opposers.
I'll start from where Professor Shuli has left us at. Like, when you're telling me, Ati, you can't see the impact because they are surrounded with the elderly. That does not make sense. I think that is very much irrelevant, because I told you they are there to break the chain that has been there. We've not seen them at any point unite as young youth to make things work with the older people. What they've done is get into the system and be part of the system. That's why I'm saying we are not ready, because our part, the reason why we elected them, as the reason why they are there, is first of all to make sure while they are in the system, they bring up new ideas, they bring up a new system of leadership to talk about this whole story of bad leadership, corruption, and all that. But what have they done? Most of the youths we've elected, they've gone into the system and became part of the system. That's why I say we are not ready. Of course, I know we are surrounded by older people. You think I don't know that? I know that very well. But have they done anything about that? No. They've decided to make these older people their godfathers, to be there to guide them and mislead them in very many other things. So when you look at the question that had been posed about what we can do to make the youth get ready. Let's go back to the system, the role of the youth during the elections. Most of the time, after every 5 years, there are violence, and the people that are taking part in this whole thing are the youth. If the youth will stop at some point and just think, why are we fighting? Is it necessary? Why can't we just come back as youth and see what we can do to bring up a leader of our own without necessarily having to shed blood because of a certain leader, because a certain person has told me to take part in fighting. You'll fight in this year. You fought in 2007, fought in 2017, fought in 2013. So you continue fighting. And after every fight, after every 5 years, you're forgotten. They go back to the normal system. They should sit down. Majority of the youth, I think, have a problem. Just sit down, ask yourself, I'm fighting for this person. What have they done for me? What impact have they done after the 5 years? And then when you look at the health status and the mental status of our youth, research shows that 1.4 million of our youth are suffering from either drug addiction or HIV and AIDS due to irresponsible behaviors and sexual behaviors. So my question is, this is someone who cannot take care of their health, someone who doesn't care about their health. How do you expect this same person to take up a leadership position? They have misplaced priorities. Most of our youths have misplaced priority. Just because Professor Shuli has priorities placed right does not mean all the other youths have their priorities correctly put. Most of our youths have misplaced priority, and I'll tell you today, they are not ready until they place their priorities right. They set their priorities right. We will never be ready for the leadership positions of this country, or rather to lead this country. Thank you.
Great, great. This almost brings us to the end of the debate, but let me tell you people, because I love debates and because I love this kind of great conversations, our debate is usually supposed to take a period of 1 hour. That means all of you have 10 minutes relatively to give your points. That is the 1 + 3 + 5 + 1. And then the moderator is left with about 15 minutes. I want to lend some of my time to you people because I feel like there's just something that Prof needs to clear. I feel also there's something that Kelvin needs to clear, Josephine and Omondi Rosalind. So I'm going to give each debater 2 minutes each, just to tell the other team what you feel, what you are trying to communicate in that 2 minutes. Please just take the 2 minutes because we have some time, we have some spare time with us here. So I'll start with the proposers. I'm just breaking the structure a bit, but we are still keeping within the same time bracket that we have. That is within that is 1 hour because we're supposed to come to the end of this debate by 9:11. So let me start with the first proposer. If you can use the 2 minutes that I'm lending to you wisely, intelligently, so that you pass the message to your opponents. Kelvin, are you ready? Do you have anything that you want to clear before we come to your last 1 minute of winding up? Kelvin? Okay, I can see Kelvin. Let me head to the first speaker, the opposing side. Rosalind Omondi, do you have something you'd like to clarify?
Yes, sure. Okay. As I completed my second submission, I said that the youth we only want temporary solutions, and that's why we're still not even ready for leadership. Let me go by the narrative that's going on, that's going around, that we can all relate. Quote unquote, it's not because of politics or anything, but I'm just saying that we have this thing of the hustler narrative. See, and we are focusing on the things that we're being given right now, the provisions that we're receiving immediately, and that's how we determine our leaders. And as much as change is inevitable, change has to be something that is permanent, something that will be able to lift us as youths. So until we're ready for permanent solutions, we will never be ready to be leaders. Thank you.
Wonderful. Professor Weshuli, I'm also lending you some of my 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for switching on the video. My battery is low. So one thing I wanted to put across. First, as Josephine has just mentioned, that like for me or her being capable of or being ready to be a leader does not mean that others also are ready. But one thing that should be clear to every one of us, that when we talk about the youth or the young people being ready to take up this leadership of this nation, I'm not talking about all the youth. I know that 20% of the population of the young people in the whole world reside in Africa. So we cannot put every youth to be a leader. But we are taking a sample. So this readiness does not mean that we'll have the whole population being ready to be a leader. And when you come to start blaming Kazim Tani, let me tell you that it is an initiative worth appreciating, because it is also dealing with the unemployment, whether you are if you went to school or you graduated or you are whatever, as some say, and you don't have work. Actually, Kazim Tani, for those that got an opportunity to be employed, at least it is helping them to have something, to be engaged at some point as they await for that which they pursued, as they work out on their way, so that they don't just be idle there. So somebody, that was, I think, Josephine, who said that our word should be known first. We are saying we are ready because we have already known our word. If we wouldn't have known that word, then we'll not have been here to say that the youth are ready. The pessimist will always complain about the wind, but the optimist expects it to change. But the leader will adjust the sail. Those are the words of John Maxwell. So most people are complaining about leadership in the nation, and even the good opposers who are here have really, the issues are giving out. They're just complaints about the government. And that shows that even them as a youth, them in their mental capability, they are very ready. They are ready also to take up this leadership because they already have the ideas. They've already seen the problems that are there in the nation, and so they can do something. Thank you.
Prof, remember you are talking on borrowed time. Thank you. Those were my minutes. Josephine Flora, you are 2 minutes too.
Professor Weshuli, and the rest that have his mindset are the ones misleading the youth in this country. You cannot come here and tell us that we should appreciate Kazi Mtaani. Rosalind Omondi has clearly told you, do we need permanent or temporary solutions? Think about that. I started by saying there is power in unity. If Okoth Opondo or Weshuli or Omukoko decides today he wants to be a leader, if the fellow youths are not behind him, then he'll definitely not be a leader. So the reason I'm saying that all we need to come together as youth and move together as a block is because there is power in unity. We are 75% of this country. And if we are ready for leadership positions, I'm not saying all the 75% should be leaders, no, but the 75% can make sober decisions. That is what I was trying to put across, Prof. And then we are not saying that youth are not in leadership positions. They are in leadership position, but the question is, are they ready to be leaders? It's one thing to be made a leader, and another thing for you to be ready for that thing. If I give you something and you're not ready to use it, it's like giving a small baby, a baby who is barely 1 year, a pen to write. That kid is not ready to write. They don't know what to write. They don't know how to use it. In fact, atachukua aweke kwa mdomo, they'll probably start chewing it or eating it because they don't know what to do with that pen. So that's what's happening with most of the leaders, the young leaders that we've put in place. They don't know what to do with the leadership they've been given. I told you clearly, they are supposed to be there to break the status quo. That is the main agenda that they are there to do. With breaking it, they're supposed to bring fresh ideas, bring a whole new leadership system that will bring us together and at least reduce the rate of corruption, nepotism, and let our economy grow. If none of this is happening, then they are not ready. They're not doing what they are supposed to do. They're not performing their duty the way they are supposed to perform. That is what I've been trying to communicate all along. I agree. We have leaders in place. The young leaders in place, we do have them, but they are not ready. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for making good use of my time that I lent to the four of you. And finally, Kelvin Kamau. Kelvin Kamau, are you back? Kelvin Kamau?
Yes. Yes, I'm back.
Okay, fine. You also have 2 minutes from the moderator. That is just my gift to you for the International Youth Day.
Yes, I had missed the question.
No, it was not a question. Mine was just giving you an additional 2 minutes from my own time in case you have anything that you'd like to clarify or a message that you'd like to pass to your opponents before we come to the last minute that every person needs to give the winding statement. Do you have anything you'd like to clarify?
Yes, and I'd like to say that when we say that youth are ready, we do not mean that they are perfect. We are not looking for saviors. We are not looking for messiahs. What we do need are just people to lend our voice in the decision table. We do not get it overnight, but we have to organize. The youth are ready, and it should be a proportional representation. Their number of votes in parliament, in the cabinet, should be proportional to not only gender and all these other things that we talk about, but also age. And I think as we head to the International Youth Day, it's important for us to strategize and focus and think about how we can effectively organize, not just mobilize the youth, because mobilization has been used to put the youth as just cheerleaders and followers, but we need to change the conversation. So when I say that we need youth leadership, it does not have to be perfect. We are not looking for saviors. We do not need them to come and do the Lord's work. No, we are going to build institutions. We are going to ensure that no other youth in future are disenfranchised as we are. That is what is required of us, and that we should organize towards that. And tomorrow, let us sensitize each other and actually think about how we can bring about the change that we desire in our country. And let me say that also the ability of the youth is that the youth do have the potential to actually bring about and energy to bring about the change that we require. What is lacking is the platform, and leadership gives that platform.
Great. Thank you. From the other side, that is on YouTube, Bill says, I agree with Flora, the youth are not ready. we just appear to be ready. Okay. That reminds me of my friends Arsenal who are crying that we do not have the capacity to take Lionel Messi. But anyway, that is the thing. So Bill says, we are not ready, but we just appear to be ready. Yeah. That is a very interesting statement. I wish you can debate that topic one day. But anyway, we are coming to the end of this debate, but we can't come to the end of that without giving the debaters the last round of speech. There is a minute each. The 2 minutes that you are using, those were minutes from the moderator as a special gift to you for the International Youth Day. Remember, that is not part of the debating format. So let's come back now to the debating format. 1 minute for each speaker to give the closing remarks. First speaker, the proposing side, Kelvin Kamau. Your last minute.
Yes, can you hear me?
Very well.
I would like to begin by saying that there is need for the youth to be at the decision table. There is no guarantee. What we have shown you in the debate is that if there are any ingredients that are required for somebody to be in positions of leadership, then the youth are most placed, because not only will they live their consequences, they do also have the ability, they also have the hunger to lead, and they do have the agency to be in those positions of leadership. Therefore, it is important that, and therefore, they do fit the bill and the criteria that can ever be used. The failure of our opponents has not been to show us how, but to actually disqualify the youth based on a few, and I do use the word few with the widest latency it can have, based on a few people's misguided actions. We cannot use the actions of a few to condemn the future of a whole generation, because the future is ahead of us. If we are actually to live the future, then we need to actually create it. I wish to rest.
Great, great. Thank you, timekeeper. We are very sure that you've upgraded. That is very loud and clear. First speaker from the opposing side, Rosalind Omondi. 1 minute.
Okay, thank you for giving me this opportunity. My last statement is, only through action do words take meaning. Yes, our proposers are giving us what the youths can do, what the youths are capable of, but what actions are they showing? What actions are they bringing to the table? What actions are they bringing towards our leadership docket? What actions are they showing the public? What actions are they showing society? So in summary, only through action do words take meaning. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. We go to the second speaker, the proposing side, Professor Waishu.
Thank you. So for those who may seem blind not to see the need to be ready as we are, I'll tell you that readiness starts with you. You judge the situation according to your own state. If by now you still feel you are an infant mentally to be fed with the so-called wise, then you will continue circling the unemployment, the corruption, and the other things that you complain about, like even having the Kazim Tani. But for the mature mentally youth or the young people like me here and my friend Kevin and others who are viewing, I thank you. I believe we are ready to take up this leadership. And as Paul encouraged Timothy in 1 Timothy 4:12, that let no one despise your youth, but set the example. And those are my words to you today. Let no one lower your self-esteem, your self-confidence, but be assertive. Have a conviction that you are ready to take up leadership. Utilize your potential fully, and the time is now. If not now, then it is right now. Thank you.
Great. The second speaker, the opposing side, who also happens to be the last speaker of this debate.
It is sad to see that our proposers cannot see how our youths are not ready to take up the leadership of this country. We've really tried to show them how the youths are not ready based on the few that we've given, based on how others are behaving out here. But I'm hoping they'll go back and reflect on it. I'll finish by saying culture does not change because we desire to change it. Culture changes when the organization is transformed. Unless we transform the organization of our youth and our country in general, then the youth will never be ready to take up the leadership of this country. Thank you. Have a blessed night. Happy International Youth Day.
Great. You too, Josephine, Flora, have a blessed night and happy International Youth Day to you too. This actually brings us to the end of this conversation. And of course, this we are doing because we are heading to a very special day. Tomorrow, the 12th day of August, annually the world gets to mark or celebrate the International Youth Day. During these times, we get to celebrate the achievements of young people. We get to celebrate, we get to look where we are coming from, and of course, a very good reflection into the future of where we are heading to. And the question of being ready, and definitely that brings us to the questions of then what should we do to be ready? Or how exactly should we be ready? Or what exactly can tell that someone is ready? The month of August being a month of governance debates for us here, we began last week by introducing this whole conversation. Today we are tackling on the readiness of young people to take over the leadership of this country. Next week we have a very, very special edition. We are hoping that our guest will confirm, a gentleman by the name Francis Lushiri. He's been a candidate before in an election in Western Kenya, and really organizing young people here in Nairobi through an organization called Kibesco. Would now like to have him on a hot seat with us here on the panel, and let us all ask those important questions. What exactly does it take to be ready? What exactly does it mean for young people to be ready to take over their communities, both in the rural areas and the urban areas? What exactly should we be doing? Is it a matter of forming political parties? Is it a matter of joining groups, attending the public forums? He will be here to share with all of us next week on Thursday, of course, back to Thursday debate night. Asante sana, Josephine Flora. Asante sana, Professor Wishuli. Kelvin Kamau, asante sana, Mond Roslyn Sabion, wherever you're joining us from, everyone who is watching, and even those who managed to get a chance to comment, both in YouTube and also in the virtual hall here in Zoom. Wishing you a happy International Youth Day. Keep doing what you're doing, of course, because you are doing the little things you are doing to change the face of this country. Those are things that matter. From Camp D Voices, we're wishing you all the best. We meet again next week on Thursday. I've been your host, Okoth Opondo, and a great thanks also to Willa Nyagoha, who's been working on the background as our timekeeper. Derek Were, who plans and works on the clock to make sure that we are having some of the best debates and the best debaters on the panel, and Alex Oburu managing our media. Have a great night, and once more, happy International Youth Day to you all.